Jabbertron, David. What are you laughing at?
Basically, reading about why zombie apocalypses would never work. And the guy talking about how any zombie left out in the heat without a working cardiovascular system to cool them is going to very quickly start to rot. And they're going to blow up like a balloon until they explode. So, basically, any zombie apocalypse that takes place, any place where it gets warm, even like here in the summer, like within a few weeks, you're going to have bursting rancid meat balloons everywhere. Sorry, I didn't realize you were eating.
That's fine. Some storytellers that use zombies do go into that, and it's more about the fact that it was such a wide outbreak that society's kind of collapsed a bit, and the rebuildings thereafter.
Mm-hmm. The point they're getting at is it's not something that would continue indefinitely. Like within a month, it would wear itself out because they just would literally kill themselves off. They lack any. Assuming you're talking about the kind that are dead, not the kind that are filled with rabies virus, and thus still have a working cardiovascular system.
But no, like your standard decaying kind of zombie.
Yeah, not magical and not alive.
It would depend on, how widespread the outbreak is, how it's spread in the first fucking place. I mean, eventually it would sort itself out, but, I mean, is the contagion still something that's going around and whatnot? It's less, it becomes less an issue of the zombies themselves and more the issue of functioning still as a society.
Well, see, the whole thing is, 99% of the time they make it a bloodborne disease, which basically means as long as they don't break the skin or you don't have an open cut and come in contact with their bodily fluids, you're never going to contract the disease. This is simplified simply by saying, hey, dumbass, wear some chainmail. Problem solved.
Well,
or God forbid...
We're still spreading around HIV like it's nothing, so we kind of don't.
Actually, the spread of HIV has been cut by more than 75%.
Yeah, but still, how easily it is spread around. Because there's still a lot of myths floating around about it. I'm saying, societally, we are kind of dumb when it comes to diseases. Not in a medical standpoint, like, the scientific field is actually quite smart. I'm talking about the average person.
Well, actually, what's happened is that the majority viruses have adapted to be less lethal because the extremely lethal ones are easily treated with a specific family of drugs they've developed in the last 15 years. What we're seeing coming out, I think I call it the beta virus, where it doesn't kill you, it just makes you very, very sick. Like, basically enfeebles you, for lack of a better word. Like, theoretically, if you go untreated, it will kill you like any other HIV virus. But because it's less, because it doesn't go for the killing stroke, basically you can live indefinitely with the drugs in use.
Well, like, as long as you're... Our drug technology, especially over the past few years, because for the longest time, we weren't really looking at AIDS as a thing, has really ramped up to where it's very easily to survive with HIV as long as you have access to the medications and whatnot.
That has a lot to do with computers, if you can believe it.
No, I can.
Like, computer technology has advanced a god speed now. Like, it's kind of scary how fast we're advancing now. And they talk about how, because it's a compounding effect, every time we come up with a new way of increasing our computer power, basically we're just speeding up the advancement of our technology even more. Like, they talked about, like 20 years ago, they talked about the concept of 3D transistors. 2 years ago, Intel developed the first prototype. 2 months from now, their first production facility goes online. The R&D turnaround used to be over a decade when we were kids. Like, they would come up with something and make a prototype, and maybe a decade later it would be a thing that you'd be able to get. You know, it'd be somewhere in production. Now it's like under 5 years it's going to be in production somewhere. And within a decade, it's going to be commonplace in all devices. Like, it's going to be rare here for the next couple of years, but, like, within 5 years, it's going to probably appear in all of our... The technology is going to be in use in all of our computers. It's just too effective. I don't know, I find it amusing.
Yeah.
Like... You know, self-driving cars aren't just a concept; they're a thing that works.
Yeah, it's just the real issue with most things is implementing it into society. Creating things is now much easier, but getting it into functioning society is the issue. Because that's either an issue of finance, laws, social order, because again, like, we are brilliant beings who are really dumb at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There is a little gnat in here that is driving me nuts.
Well, it's like they were talking about how fast zombieism spreads and stuff, and then somebody brought up the recent Ebola epidemic, which is literally hilarious because, yes, it was really nasty in countries that don't have disease control.
And the only reason it was an issue here is because people were dumb about it.
Yeah.
It was our stupidity. We had the resources and the knowledge, it just wasn't spread or used right.
And consider for a moment that even though people were dumb because the controls were in place and running, what was it, like less than 24 people actually contracted the disease?
Here in the States, yeah.
Yeah.
We did do some stupid, like, having people who were coming from Africa but nowhere near those places, putting them in quarantine for no fucking reason. Because we also get scared fucking easily.
Yeah.
And some of the stories are, like, not even, like, proper quarantine.
Yeah.
It's just, it's more a factor of dumb fear. And America has access to so many wonderful things. But we limit people's access to it, and then people who are in charge of it often don't know dick about it. You know, like the political people who are on science boards who don't know much about science. Why are they on science boards? There should be a requirement to, I don't know, at least have a basic degree in an area. But whatever. Get out of my nose! I always want to go in my nose. Is it because it's warm? Or because my nostrils are so big?
See, the whole problem is we assume incorrectly with the spread of a horrible disease that our governments would be very, very ineffective at stopping them, which is quite the opposite in reality.
I mean, at a local level, maybe. Depending on where you are, you might have a bit of an issue. But eventually, as a majorative thing, America is good at flowing stuff like that. It's just
Yeah, I mean,
like
not just America, but like
yeah,
Western society in
yeah.
general
Like,
is very
because
effective.
I'm in California, currently we're having a measles issue. But that's less of a technology thing and more of a lack of knowledge of the general populace.
Well, that's also that you have a growing population that isn't getting vaccinated against
because
measles.
That's what I mean by knowledge, because the anti-vaxxers
Yeah.
are using misinformation that they either think are real or are just using it to scare enough people. It's a cycle. It happened before. There's been more than one cycle of anti-vaxxers about something. But, I mean, I know some other states have failed, but California probably will not, because we've already gotten past the first stepping points of at least making mandatory vaccinations for at least public schooling and adding to the list. We're usually pretty good about that. So we're starting to add specific things like measles and whatnot, and we're limiting the reasons to not vaccinate. We're actually adding the we're taking away the religious part, because we're showing it's been shown to be an illegitimate excuse.
It used to be something that less than 1% of the population used to say they didn't feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with crazed political ideas or some sort of half-baked idea of how vaccines work. It was more of a actual legitimate, stuff like the Amish. I'm not saying the Amish in particular, but just, using them as an example. Where it was a deal where, it was basically a get out of jail free card for why your kids weren't vaccinated. Just didn't have access to it, whatever. That's less of a problem today because most of these vaccines are readily available from any pharmaceutical supply company. Like, your local pharmacy carries these.
And a lot more places are offering, like, free vaccinations for children and whatnot.
Yeah. We don't want people to contract these diseases. That's the whole point. Like,
I mean, medical companies need to make a profit, but at the same time, you need to control and sometimes even alleviate diseases. Otherwise, your populace shrinks, and there's going to be less money.
The thing to remember is the vast majority of vaccines are well over half a century old.
Yeah, they've been shown ancient. To work.
Well, I'm just saying, they're literally ancient. The money to be made has been made. Yeah. They could charge $30 a shot, and everyone's still making money. I mean, you can pick a number, but I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of these vaccines, except for a couple like chickenpox that are from the 90s. Most of these, the companies that made them don't even exist anymore.
They've been merged and whatnot. Yeah. Different names. I mean, some vaccines, like you were saying, have had updated versions or variants because of, like, I forget what it is. There was one vaccine where they made a variant of it for people who were allergic to it, and it worked. I don't remember which vaccine that was. But anyway, yeah, we, like, if it proves to stop working or to do something bad, we usually, go about fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only cruelty here in our system is the fact that we aren't supplying the populace with our resources, even though we have it like other countries are, for, limited or no finance. The regulations are more, the regulatory issue here is less what kind of meds you get and more your access to them in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because we let insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies dictate the market instead of letting the government oversee it better.
I continue to say the same thing I've always said. We'll do it whoever's way who wants to do it, but I'm putting this caveat out. If we go completely one way or the other and you're wrong, I'm hanging you by your toes. So people are like, you gotta give the insurance companies free reign. I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. But if you're wrong, I'm gonna hang you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. Well, you want it, right?
Yeah.
Well, not if my life's on the line. You're sure this is gonna work? Well, yeah. So what's the problem? What if it doesn't? Well, you're sure it's gonna work? Well, yeah. So what's the problem? Well, I don't want to take that chance. Well, you're sure it's gonna work, though? Okay, I'm not sure if it's gonna work. I just think it's gonna work. So maybe not a good idea.
I mean, you could very much argue that the free market we spout is not actually free market. It's heavily big name corporatized, and there's limitations and options. So we've already shown that giving free reign to anything is a bad idea. Like
legalize and tax all recreational drugs.
Mm-hmm.
This will pay for most health care. Add a federal income or a federal sales tax, couple percentage points.
Mm-hmm.
This will help pay for some of the other shit. Problem solved.
There are already easily provable strategies that work that we're not implementing due to monetized
fuck those socialist
stupidity.
bastards in Europe.
Which, we're not even democratic anyway, so.
No representative democracy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice way of saying the corporations own everyone.
Yeah, because they do. And then they're all connected to the World Bank, which owns everybody else. So, yay.
Hello and welcome to episode 64 of the super happy fun Jabbertron Tea Party with Kiki and Bones. As a robot, I don't have much to worry about a zombie apocalypse other than maybe having to clean up the mess after the whole silly ordeal is over.
Anyway, hi Bones.
Hello. I am Spartacus.
No, I am Spartacus.
You're doing that at work one day and all of a sudden I broke into Carol Channing and I don't even know why.
You?
I guess.
Yeah. It's like, you was really the only thing I could think of. My RSS feed's having a little trouble loading. Okay.
Oh no! Oh yeah.
So, you're aware of who Ted Cruz is, right?
Fuck him?
So, you are aware of who he is.
Yeah.
Do you know
He's an asshole from Texas.
Is he actually from Texas?
No. He's
a politician
from Canada.
Texas. Yeah, he's a politician from Texas. Okay, I get what you're saying. Guess what the new labeling thing he has done. Because, the religious freedom laws that we didn't get to talk about last time, but wanted to and just kind of forgot for some reason.
What?
He's saying that the gay community is waging a jihad against the freedom laws. He's calling it the rainbow jihad.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a man who's just gone, what buzzwords can I use? Those? Okay.
I don't think I understand. I wasn't aware that anyone was waging a jihad on whoever the hell they say they're waging a jihad on.
He's calling the outcry against the religious freedom laws in Arkansas and Indiana.
Because there was strict endorsement of discrimination.
Yeah, he's calling the outlash against them a jihad. He's just using a phrase that scares people now as a way to put him in his
jihad
favor.
includes you having religion, or that is religiously based.
It's just showing that I know Ted Cruz is a terrible person, but
the Republicans are slowly devolving into a party of stupidity, And like their old school like hardcore backers, like the senators that have been Republicans for like 40 years, are like slowly leaving the party because they're just like, my party is turning into insane people.
There's like, yeah, I mean, I like corporations and money, but you're going a little nutso. And those nutso people are currently the figureheads. It's weird when I look at the Republican Party and what's his face seems like a better option if I had to choose a Republican. What's his name?
Well, I mean, what's his face for the last election would have been a fine president compared to some of the whack jobs that are coming out of the woodwork now.
I have suddenly forgotten everybody's name. I know who you're talking about.
The guy from Massachusetts. I don't remember his name. Oh shit.
Fuck.
All I know now are all the crazy ones. Ted Cruz, Palin.
Suddenly I can only remember Ted Cruz's name.
Michelle Bachmann.
Well, Bachmann, yeah. And the other crazy lady. Because Bachmann's not the only one. Motherfucker, wow, they are apparently so crazy, my brain is trying to protect itself.
Romney.
Yes, Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney.
Why was I thinking Mike Huckabee? That's a different guy.
He was in the running last time, but he never got that far.
Like, I was picturing Romney's face, but I couldn't get his name.
Believe me right now, Ted Cruz is probably not going to get the endorsement from his party.
I don't think he is. He's just going to run around talking crazy shit. Like, the Tea Party has become so crazy that I think the Republicans regret being associated with them.
Well, because now the Tea Party people are saying like the moderate Republicans are horrible monsters, and it's like when you're calling people that basically the people who are going to be the pillars of your national convention. Because I hate to say this, the reality is the moderates are generally the people who put together the conventions.
Yeah.
Not a good idea to shit like. Yeah, you need to play to like the far corners of your party, the far side or whatever you want to call it. But like.
But at the same time, don't shit on the
ultimately the
bodies.
moderates. Yeah. Okay. Ultimately, moderates make up the majority of the party's elected leadership.
They're just not the people we see in the news and whatnot because they make waves in a different way, and apparently other people have decided that any press is good press. I know some people say that, but that's not always true. Just because I'm remembering your name does not make it a good thing. Because apparently sometimes I hate you so much I will just block your name from my mind. Because I could not remember anybody else's name. I don't even hate what's-his-face that much. I've already forgotten his name.
Mitt Romney?
Thank you. I don't even hate him that much compared to the other ones, but he's just... I'm not even, like, trying to do the bit from Colbert where he couldn't remember his name. I legitimately, for some fucking reason, cannot place his name.
I just mean it's more of a... Like, no one theoretically wants to elect a moderate.
Yeah.
But the reality is the moderates make generally the best elected officials. They're also the ones most likely to get enough votes. The crazies never get enough votes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
either side.
That's why it's terrible that who's the current House Speaker? What's his name? I fucking despise
Boehner?
him. Yes, Boehner. Thank you. That's why he's a terrible House Speaker because nothing can get done, not just because of him, but because of the way Congress is running now, and has been for a long time. Like, it's one thing to be a different party, it's another thing to be in opposition of everything, and not actually doing your job, just kind of being the snotty bitch in the hallway who won't let you go into the bathroom sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
In high school. That's what Boehner seems like to me nowadays. Which makes it impossible to get things done.
Well, I mean, both sides have been playing this game for a long time now. Like, and basically...
Because it's, politics. Politics has always been kind of like high school, because that's how our society fucking runs, but in a more realistic, still functioning kind of way, but lately it's more of a TV dramatized version of it, and nothing gets done because of it. And to get anything done, you have to do something that gets on the news and makes you look terrible, but in reality, you're just trying to get your government to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. People are always like, oh no, they're doing so many affirmative actions and whatnot, but when you look at the statistics, technically, at least for a while there, they had done less than, other presidents have had to do. But at the same time, we're just trying to get shit done. I should not be amazed when Congress gets something done, or even the House is a bit better. But I should not be so dissatisfied when I look at my government. I mean, I'm not saying it's just because you can't really pinpoint it on one person. It's a cultural evolution thereof of the party system that since, let's say the 90s, because that's really when I started to pay attention because I was old enough and alive to bother to pay attention. The shift has really happened to less, we're on different sides, but we still have to function, and more an all-out war between parties that doesn't benefit the country. I mean, I know we're a two-party system, even though we have other parties. You just have to realize, occasionally independent parties get big seat numbers, but it's very rare, and often it doesn't help. It just splits the votes. Because independents tend to vote more democratically anyway, with some exceptions. But our system right now is just fucked, and there's really no way to fix it other than hoping the next few generations of politicians are more moderate thinking in general. Because the moderates are still in control, it's just there's enough crazies in the mix that it's clogging up the system. Not that all of these people are like legitimately crazy, just the way it's functioning.
Agreed.
But let's stop talking about politics because it makes me sad, and I'm very sad about it. And whatnot. And I live in a stupid state, so let's not talk about it. Let's talk about
Yes, you wouldn't live in my state with all the water and tea shops. And...
Dude, legitimately, like me, my entire family, Grieve, and Faith, we're all like, dude, if we had the ability to, we would fucking live up there. Because I love California to death, which is why I hate it so much. Because I see all of its flaws and everything, and I know how, like, my local government is actually pretty okay. Like, this is still a really religious town, but kind of in a liberal way. So a lot of stuff does actually happen, but at the same time, there's like a church on every fucking corner. But we do some wonderful things, and people have this perception of us as very forward, but from a legal standpoint, we're not. We're usually behind the times. And we're very bad at getting things done before the crisis. Usually it's after. And as you can see with our water, which we sold a lot of back in the day, which is dumb because this is a dry climate, and we let companies bottle our water and ship them out of state, and we haven't properly implemented any sort of better conservation and just getting water techniques in general, our infrastructure, again, fucked. And because most of our water comes from Northern California, Southern California has, like, dick in water catching systems. Yep. So, whenever there's an explosion of water down there, which is far too often, we get fucked more, and, the second we get any inkling of, like, a massive amount of water coming our way, all these lovely bills that are coming through right now to fix your system will suddenly vanish. And again, love my state, but I would run away from it as fast as I could.
I just linked you.
You need more than love.
I just linked you to a picture of a new housing development in Southern California.
Oh god, yeah. You see all those pools next to that desert?
Uh-huh. This is why you have no water.
Yeah. Historically, this shouldn't be a historic thing, but we have made a historic, legitimate bill that's been signed. I think it's been signed, or at least it's passed some stages, to put water restrictions out there. This should not be a historic moment. This should have happened ages ago. Dry fucking climate. Just because we're next to the sea does not mean we have water. There is a desert in our state. Come on.
Mm-hmm. I was still really amused by going into that cake shop for the first time.
You don't bring your motherfucking fancy ass downtown.
And the woman just staring at me like she had never seen this before. And I walked up and I was like, hey, so cake shop? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, excellent. I'm like, can I see the menu? And she's like, what? Like, can I see the menu? She's like, sure. She hands me the menu, looks at it. I'm like, I'll take 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those, and 4 of those. She's like, those are the 4 most expensive things on the menu. I'm like, they also look delicious. Here's my credit card. Please and thank you. Would you like something to drink? Pot of tea would be great. Okay. I sit down. Swimming in women. Just swimming in women.
I imagine so.
I had to try really, really hard not to have a big shit-eating grin on my face the entire time I was eating that cake. Because I am legitimately amused by the fact that there were, in the half an hour I was sitting there munching on cake and drinking tea, not one other man came in. Like, she had plenty of business. It wasn't like she was hurting for business. It was just all women.
Mm-hmm.
There were 0 men.
That's a social thing, but okay. It's not like there aren't some great independent stores in my town. I'm just piss poor, or they serve something that I'm adamant against, or I think their prices are stupid or something, or they're organic bullshit kind of places.
Yeah, no. I just really enjoyed this because I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever.
Oh, sounds like it would have been so fun.
Well, it just screamed like one of those cafes from an anime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really nice decor, pretty. You saw from the tables, like the tables are pretty just like generic, like restaurant, wooden, solid wood, but they're just generic like wood tables. Mm-hmm. And all of the women, I was just like, dude, fuck going to a bar. I'm coming back here.
I will be right back. Did you tell us what kind of cake you had?
I don't even remember. The key point is that I think it was a couple different types of tiramisu, some coffee cake, and then like a coffee flavored. No, it was coffee cake, like real coffee cake, like coffee flavored cake, tiramisu, a really interesting berry flavored shortcake, and just a pot of basic tea. but I just really enjoyed it. It was, and the look on the owner's face, man, she was just dying. She could not. What? It was just crazy.
I just finished off a pot. Oh, some of that lovely tea you sent me. The other one,
The moose or whatever?
the multi thingy bopper. I'm terrible with names. I know what I'm talking about.
And then, of course, the tea shop in town as well.
Yeah.
That's the other fun part about the town I live in.
I think the closest, like, obviously there are, like, bistros and tea places, but there are places you go to buy a cup of tea, not to buy tea.
Yeah.
I think there might be a place in Davis, but that would require going to Davis, and if not, then there's a place in Sacramento, and that would require going to Sacramento. And as I don't drive, and shit is expensive, that's not going to happen.
I mean, the place I went to was actually very reasonable. I think the most expensive tea they had was a mix that was, I want to say $20 an ounce. She had access to more expensive stuff, but she said it would be a while. Like, it was coming in later this spring. But, yeah, I don't know. My town is really interesting. And I'm still just tickled pink by the look on the woman's face when I walked in was just, oh, God, I'll remember that for quite a while.
I suppose in her mind, she probably thought the first guy to come in would be with, like, a lady. Like, she made him go there, or it was a date or something. Or
no, the exact words out of her mouth is, "Who are you meeting?" I said, "I'm not meeting anybody."
Yeah.
Can I see a menu? And she's like, looks at me, and she almost gave me, like, the "Are you a queer guy?" stare down. And I was like, and I had to hide the big grin on my face of, "No, sir, I am not. I just like cake a lot."
Cake is good. In fact, I will be making some cake tomorrow.
And I told my buddies about it, and they're like, "I can't believe you went into a place like that." I'm like, "Why?" Like, well, it's I'm like, it's what? It's what? Say it. Say it, motherfucker. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Say it. Well, doesn't it seem a little gay? I was like, to what? To eat cake and drink tea? Well, yeah. Why? What? If you could explain to me how sexual orientation has anything to do with eating cake, I gotta hear this. Well, what kind of guy goes into a place like that by himself?
A guy
like,
who likes cake.
You don't like cake? Well, yeah, I like cake. So what's the problem? Well, but what do the women think? I'm like, the women were like swarming me. I'm like, I don't know.
Masculinity culture has actually taught men to be non-attractive to women because it's taught them things that we actually don't find sexy or anything like that.
I said to him, now, if you went to a place that was 99.9% women, and you were the only man, what do you think your chances of getting attention from the other sex are? Do you think it's low or do you think it's high? Well, I never considered that. I'm like, this is what I was thinking. I was just like, a cake shop? What? And went in, and then I was like, oh crap, that's right, because straight men aren't supposed to be in here. And it wasn't even like guys with their girlfriends, it was just straight women. I was like, wow, like thinking like, where are all the men? Like, I thought I'd see at least one or two, couples. Nope. Mm-mm. And I know why. Because 2 doors down is a pizza and bar place. Which is also very good. I've tried their pizza. It's very good. And that's full of men. Which is totally legit. Because it's really a guy's place.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a sports bar that serves, like hand-fired pizza and, like, craft beer and shit. Not that women couldn't go in there, I'm just saying, like, it screams, like, I am a man!
I mean, usually spaces made for a specific gender follow the societal bullshit rules, and because of that, it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to go in there because I'm a guy, and sweets are somehow feminine. Because
except that this place didn't scream that. It just said...
The way you explain it sounds like a very basic shop that serves nice cake and drinks.
Yeah.
But because it serves cakes and tea, it's automatically feminine, regardless of its design.
Well, and she didn't just serve... I mean, she offered coffee as well. I just thought...
Yeah.
I thought tea was more appropriate for the cake, because it was just like, it's like one of my Japanese animes.
Yeah, that's... No more sweets today. I've already had too much.
I just ate an entire solid chocolate bunny. My mom got me 2 of them for Easter.
Between the caramel you sent me, the caramel I already had, and all the reduced price leftover Easter candy, I'm really trying not to just shove everything in my face. I put it up there on my shelf, so I at least have to get up to get it. Because if I have to get up to get it, then I must really want it. But at the same time, I think I've had enough today. So
I gotta know how was the caramel I sent you?
Oh, it is a love point.
Okay, I'm glad.
Even my husband, who doesn't really like plain caramel, said it's very nice. And both my mother and mother-in-law liked it very much because it's not. It has a nice flavor, and without having like the hard salt crystals, it still has that nice salty flavor to it, and it's only mildly chewy, whereas the over-the-counter stuff is super chewy.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. My mother-in-law, who has bad teeth, normally doesn't get to eat just straight-up caramel anymore.
Yeah.
And she really loved it. Because you can just suck on it if you don't want to chew on it, because it's so nice and soft.
If you can believe it, okay. Did I tell you this story?
You probably did, but I don't think you've told it on a podcast.
No, because we haven't really... I hadn't sent it by the time we had our last podcast because I was busy and I had to... Long story short is I meant to send this to Kiki like the week I got it, but I went through like 2 weeks of working 50-hour weeks at work and then also not having anything to put it in to send it to her, trying to find a place to buy what am I trying to say? Supplies to send stuff to her.
I mean, through all that, it's still in perfect fucking condition.
Well, I kept it. I mean, I kept it in a climate-controlled, container until I sent it. So I was worried it was gonna be hard as a rock because it was like 2-3 weeks after I got it. Anyway, the day I got it was fresh out of the whatever oven. I don't know how they make it, but I assume it was the oven because the guy had a whole bunch of it pre-sliced in the glass case, but that was regular non-salted caramel. And that's why I had sent Kiki a message and said, which one do you want? They make both. And initially it said, just give me a regular because I wasn't sure if I was going to get a response. And then she actually got it back to me before I finished the transaction. So I told the guy, well, can you switch it out for the stuff? He says, well, I got it, but I haven't cut it yet. He had an entire sheet pan of it. Like 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, filled from rim to rim. Whatever, you saw how thick it is. Like, sheet pan of it. And I was like, honestly, I'm like, how much is an entire sheet pan? He's like, $35. I'm like, that's actually not that bad. That's seriously like 3 dozen pieces.
Yeah, that's nice pricing.
I bought you a pound, which is half a dozen.
Yeah.
And that was still only like $8.
Oh man, that's a very good deal.
They give you a really good deal when you buy a lot because most people don't buy that much.
We do have a sweets place in town. We have independent, that is. There's a bakery, but it does mostly like sweet breads, and then there's a cookie store, but again, it mostly does cookie.
Yeah.
So it's been a long while since I've had corporatized over-the-counter caramel, which is still, yummy as fuck.
Oh yeah.
But that was, oh my god, that is so good. It is so
That's
good
real.
that I'm trying to limit myself to just a little bit every day, because given the chance, I would just eat it all and then be very sad that it's gone.
I'll get you some more.
No, I still have quite a lot of it, but I am restraining myself. And
Are you guys like cutting it into small pieces, or?
I'm just ripping off small pieces, because it's in a container, and it's still wrapped up, so that and the container is what I use for caramel usually anyway. And I just open it, take that little bit out, close it, and then if anybody wants some, they're getting some off of that little bit I took out. I'm not opening it again.
Gotcha.
I'm trying to ration it, just like I've been doing really well with your tea, because I know how to make tea last, and making a big pot actually means using less tea leaves if you do it right.
I hope that was a decent amount. I apologize.
It is. I have had, on average, 3 full teapots a day of at least one of them, and I still have a lot left. And it's really good. And I've even shared it with the moms every now and then, so.
I mean, really, it's not that expensive, because I asked the woman, I said, if it's good, how much is it a pound? And she was like, the nigiri was, I think, was like $54 a pound, and the other one is like 56 or 55.
Mm-hmm.
So it really wasn't like, I'm like, what does that look like? And she brought out like a giant mason jar, basically, that was not stuffed, but it was filled. And she's like, that's half a pound. And I'm like, so a pound would be like a brick. She's like, yeah, it's a brick. I'm like, holy shit. And I imagine a pound of tea lasts a long time.
If you know how to do it right, it does. Because some people are really silly and use a lot for like a single cup, when you can get the same richness of flavor if you just let it brew for a little bit longer in more water with lower heat. I know how to make a good pot of tea.
Yeah.
I know how to make shit last without sacrificing flavor.
Well, she said it would make, what'd she say, like 5 to 10 big cups per ounce, and I was like, well, that's a decent amount. That's like a couple pots worth. And from the way you're saying, is like you actually get quite a bit out of a unit.
Mm-hmm.
Because the next package size up is a pound, which is 16 units, because the unit is 1 ounce through them. I'm like, that's a shit ton of tea then. I was just keeping it in mind for the future, trying to figure out, like, because I didn't know how much to get you that would be like enough that you could actually enjoy it. So I just started with one. As I told you, I said just started with 1 unit and saw. So like, if that only makes a cup, let me know. I'll go buy, I'll go buy a bigger unit next time, or buy more units of it. But yeah, our town is kind of silly.
In a nice way. Well, from an outsider's perspective.
No, I mean, it's really a nice town. It actually is. Like, people from the outside think it's nice. We think it's nice. It'll be even nicer once the main bridge goes in.
Mm-hmm. And now I have your address, so if I ever want to kill you, I mean, send you stuff.
You now know where I live. Congratulations.
Yep. And you know where I live.
Yes, yes.
I wouldn't recommend visiting.
What now?
I would not recommend visiting.
I kind of got that feeling.
Like I said before, I love my state, I love my town. Don't visit.
Well, I feel like if I visited, it would be like on my way to something else, like stop by on the way going somewhere else. Like we had talked about going to Anime Expo in, I think, Anaheim. I don't remember where. Maybe it's in Los Angeles.
That would be a very weird way to visit me, because you'd probably want to go to an airport closer to LA instead of Sacramento International Airport, because it would be much closer. Unless for some reason you wanted to come early and drive around California for a bit.
No, we've been talking about like taking an RV, and so it was like one of those like, go on, come from a weird direction so we could stop by and say hi on our way. It'll probably never happen because we've all talked about doing this since we got out of high school, and no one ever really wants to do it. Also, as I've gotten older, I've become more antisocial. Or asocial, or however the fuck you want to describe that.
You would be asocial, not antisocial.
I used to really like conventions. Now I just find them to be full of stupid children.
It depends on the convention. There is local conventions that I think I should probably go to every now and then, but I never remember when they are, and I always hear about them when they're almost over. Because Sacramento is still a big city, and it's our fucking capital, so shit does actually happen there. It's just, do I really want to go to Sacramento for that? Which part of Sacramento is this? Is that a part I'm willing to go to? There's some parts of Sacramento you really shouldn't go to unless you have to.
Yeah. It feels like the more I hear about people from there talk about it, the more California feels like one of those places that's nice to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Like just passing through.
If you're a tourist, it is awesome. If you live here, hopefully you have money.
Well, I think that's true of a lot of places.
True, but seriously, especially the way with our state is now, I would not recommend moving here unless you legitimately need to, a job or something requires you to move here. We're not a place you need to come to. Feel free to visit us. We have great parks. Some of our zoos are the best in the country. We have wonderful things to see and places to stay, but currently, unless you're super rich, even then, I probably wouldn't. Don't come here to live unless you must.
Well, I think the only way I'd end up out there is if I got a job that was out that way. But who knows?
Because we're a place that looks great on the surface. And not that we're the worst state in the country, we're just not stable right now. I think there was a knock at my door.
Oh, wow.
With air pressure.
Huzzah, air pressure.
Might have been air pressure, because we had to turn the AC off for a little bit. Because, climate change, and the fact that we're moving into warmer weather.
It's 47 here right now.
What's the outside temperature? It actually might be a good time to turn off the AC. It didn't get that hot today, it just got hot enough to turn it on for a little while. Oh, it's 67. We could probably open up, actually. Yeah, one moment. I'm going to the thing I was just talking about. There we go. So, this window now. Try not to look at the TV. There we go. Okay, now that we've talked about politics, sweets, and the issues of my state and how my family and I wish to move to Minnesota.
Minnesota's a weird state because everybody thinks it's like the impression I get from other people is like Minnesota's like a really boring place to live. But there's like a lot of stuff that goes on, and we're like one of the major metropolitan, cities.
Yeah.
Midwest. I mean, it's us, Milwaukee, and Chicago for the northern Midwest. And honestly, yeah, we rate up there, like, obviously I have kind of a biased view because I live in the outer suburbs, so it's like, nice place to live kind of a thing. But even the city is nice. Like, a lot of my friends live in the city. Ooh, a ghost! Oh, wait, no, it's just a dog.
When the air pressure changes, because this is a really old building built, like, back in the 70s, and not much has changed, sometimes my door comes slightly out of the frame, and he has figured this out, so he opened the door because he wanted in. Hi, Ringo. Can you learn to shut the door after yourself? Huh? Can you? Ah! Here you go. Good boy! Hi, Coffee. Yes, I see. I don't know. We've always considered it like America's Canada, but that's how it's kind of portrayed on TV.
I always describe Minnesota as like an angrier Canada.
Yeah, whereas most of what you see on California in TV and movies is not how California is. Especially even our own commercials telling people to come to California. That's not how California is. It's how it will be if you're a tourist. That's not how it is, though.
No.
Yeah. But I would argue that's true for most places. So there's the perception, and then there's the reality. There's a difference between being a tourist and living in a place.
I'm gonna say like the problem is like 90% of Minnesota, actually probably I wouldn't say even that much anymore. Like 80% of Minnesota is like farm fields. So like the majority of us are pretty quiet, but there's this hub in where I live, where the city is, where like there's just like everything going on, and then there's Duluth up north of us, like in northern Minnesota, that's like the other big hub. And then just smaller towns, small centers of population spread out all over the place.
Well, this is farm country too. It's kind of weird because we're right outside the capital, which is a weird city in itself. And then we're right next to Davis, which is also kind of a weird city, but it's like it's got one of the better medical colleges and shit like that out there. And then there's us, we're the county head for our county, and then everything else is tiny little farm towns and massive amounts of farmland until you get up to like the Bay Area stuff. Or if you go further north into like near Yuba, then you get into like the big cities again. We're the valley, and when TV says the valley, you think like Beverly Hills, but that's the wrong valley. We're the valley. We're the literal valley. All farms. We're next to the foothills, and you can get to the bay from us. And the river's over there. Well, there's not much 90210ing going on over here. So why don't we talk about your anime for a little while?
There's nothing to say. I'm still watching it.
Well, like, you've talked about it before, but I'm still not sure what exactly it's about.
What, you mean Trouble Chocolate?
Yeah, like, is it just a...
Alright, so Cacao is the main character.
Okay.
It's a for lack of a better word, it's almost like a Seinfeld, absurd comedy, situational comedy. Like it's very anime. Anime has like a Looney Tunes type deal. Like none of the episodes are interconnected in any flowing storyline set way. They basically set up a scenario. They set up a scenario and let it run for 20 minutes, for lack of a better word. And so, all right, I don't remember what the town is called. Something. Hang on. Shit. I should just look it up, but.
This is the end of part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Unless you are somehow a zombie, if so then I am not really sure how you are listening to this in the first place. This is part 2.
So everybody lives in this town. And the town is famous because it's got... Yeah, this doesn't have it. One second, let me just look up the description, because I don't... it's not really that interesting, thus why, as I said earlier, I've been watching it. I'm watching the last couple discs on, faster than normal mode, because the show's really not that interesting. Alright, Kakao, a student at Micrograd Academy, wakes up one morning to find a girl made of wood sleeping in bed with him. She is Hinano, a tree spirit who possessed the body of a wooden puppet after Kakao messed up his magic teacher's spell. Having taken an instant liking to Kakao, Hinano enrolls in his school. Between her, monsters, two strange twins, and their four-eyed cat master, a demon boy, odd teachers to students, and the fact that he may have the potential to be one of the greatest sorcerers of all time, Kakao's life seems to have taken several turns for the worse and the weird. Basically, all kinds of random, what the show's about is the company that made it had a whole bunch of really popular animes in the 90s, and they basically make fun of all of them and different anime tropes over a 12-episode series. And that's about the best way I can describe it.
Okay, so it's just one of those kind of zany, big plot kind of animes.
Not quite like the A-grade insanity of say Excel Saga or something, but or FLCL, but just very off the wall, very strange, very surreal light, I guess is what I would say. And it's not particularly interesting, but it's okay. I don't know how else to say that. When I'm done with it, I'll probably never watch it again, or at least not again by myself. It'll be one of those things where if somebody's like, "Hey, what's this all about?" I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, we can watch that." Don't get too excited. It's not going to be that good, but we can definitely watch it. It certainly went better than Pilot Candidate, which Raid and I watched a couple weeks ago, and was literally so boring I was almost crying. I was just like, oh god.
Yeah, I had never heard of what he was talking about at the time, so I looked up pictures of it, and I'm like, this doesn't look like something I would watch.
But the whole problem is if they had built a cohesive story, it would have been fine. What I keep running into is that the writing is just bad in a lot of stuff.
That's been a bit of an issue for a while.
The show, what I'm finding is the shows that keep me interested are shows that don't beat around the bush a lot with their stories.
Mm-hmm.
If they're gonna do a story, every episode is just is following the storyline. And what I mean by that is there's no fluff. It's literally just, story piece after story piece. There's no
faffing about.
Yeah.
Not that some animes can't have faffing about in good, positive ways, because usually, if it's done well, it's the character development. If it's done unwell, you might as well not have the fucking episode. Because it means nothing.
Well, it's yeah, with there's an entire season that's literally just
faffing about.
Yeah, like, no, there's 2 episodes that matter. Everything else has no meaning.
Or, like with Dragon Ball Z, where Dragon Ball Z Kai literally just cuts out the faffing about so that it's a shorter, more cohesive plot, because it exists with the faffing about not needed. And some shows just really have that problem. And then there's Western media, where faffing about is the whole point of the show. Like,
Pretty much.
very little matters from episode to episode. Some of that is changing, but you still have a great amount of stuff where there's no point in worrying about canon, because it's not going to matter next episode.
I don't know, it might be good, you don't know. Being a smartass.
No, I'm not going to sit here and scratch your butt all day.
But you must! But thou must!
Here, how about that? Right there? Right there? Okay, now go and lay down and stop playing the test. There's been like an explosion in like idol shows or things that that kind of mimic. Oh, my phone went off. Mimic idol shows.
I think that's one of those deals with what is that series, Idolmaster? Like that, or not, maybe not even Idolmaster, but also, was it Love Live? Like, there's a couple different series that came out that just screamed. Like,
yeah. Like some of the newer ones like don't have idol in the title and are like technically not idol shows while still being idol shows. Like they pretend they're about a thing. Like there's a bunch of new music animes that are really just about idols, and it's merchandise packaging, which we here in America know very well.
Yeah, Saturday morning cartoons before they stopped being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a whole generation that we're being. Oh, sorry. I gotta get up. I just remembered I gotta pay my phone bill. And my phone. Well, I'm worried if I forget again, I'm not gonna pay it. It's due today. And then I have it all electronic, but I have a security code that I have to put in so that I never have. I don't know why this is a thing, but like it is, so whatever. But no, it's like I'm always kind of freaked out by the fact that there's like a whole generation now that's never known, or kids I should say now, that have never known I've never known Saturday morning cartoons because they've like literally not existed for almost a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's always fun.
Do you remember back when my husband was worried about having to do jury duty?
Well, I remember talking about it. I didn't even know he had it until he started talking about it being there.
He had to go back twice, and it was really looking like he was going to get stuck during jury duty, which, I get. The only issue there was of that was because the fact what jury duty paid was less than he got working, and it would hurt us financially. That was really the only issue. Because they were, during the process, they were talking about how it would likely take a long-ass time.
Yeah.
This trial. It took a day. This trial took a day. Less than a day, technically.
Okay.
They were so fucking worried, because the way they were setting it up, like, there were so many witnesses to go through and shit, they were talking about, like, it might take a month or more.
Yeah.
It took the jury less than a day to find him guilty. So I suppose our worry was for nothing.
I'm confused. So he sat on the jury or not?
No, he did not have to sit on the jury. He was excused finally. But we were really worried because they had played it up as if this trial was going to take for goddamn ever.
But he found out when the trial actually happened after the fact. It only took a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fucking ridiculous. He was found guilty, by the way. It was a double hit and run, where the second hit and run killed a guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just noticed that Yuki Yuna as a hero came out this week.
Ooh.
I might buy that.
Ooh.
I was trying to decide if there was something I wanted to buy this week because I had a whole bunch of overtime that finally paid out. That might be fun to own. I've just finally made a decision that unless it's something old that I'm interested in, I'm just not going to buy anime that's not dubbed. It's just no point to it.
Your reasoning is sound.
Because so much of the stuff now that isn't dubbed is available for streaming, so it's just like, really, honestly, the only reason I'm buying something is because I want the dub. Even that's starting to fall apart because more and more streaming services are offering a subscription to get, like, Funimation is doing that with the Funimation Plus, where you can get, like, stuff dubbed a week after. Like, now you buy the thing and you get the subbed episode the day it comes out in Japan, and a week later you've got the dubbed episode. It's like,
which is smart. They're realizing changes in the market. They're doing it smartly.
Well, that's the way to do it, because basically that just wipes out all of my need to collect.
Mm-hmm.
Like a big part of why I collect is because I want the dubs. And by saying, hey, you know what, this new stuff, we'll give it to you dubbed as it comes out. It's like, well, crap, now I don't feel a huge, if I thought it was, like, okay, I'm not going to feel a huge need to own it.
Mm-hmm. Whereas you can just pay this subscription fee, and they're better guaranteed to at least get some finance, as opposed to people going, well, this is really expensive, and I could just watch it undubbed, or I could pay this small fee to watch it dubbed. Because a small monthly fee is better to take grasp of than this massive one-time fee for these DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever.
Well, okay, to be fair, it's $60 for a year. You pay it up front, one shot. But still
not that bad.
That's still, I think I worked that out to, like, I think it's like $7.50 a month.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's not even that much.
Subscription services are becoming more and more the thing. Some are really shitty right now, so whatnot, and some aren't. But
I mean, like, even if I bought, like, let's say I pony up and I get a year of Crunchyroll and a year of Funimation.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like the two big players. So that's like, what? That's like $120 for the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's still not bad, and that covers, like, almost all the anime I'd ever want to watch. To be honest,
their entire library of whatever they have available for streaming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as soon as companies start, like, making their entire library available to stream, oh my god, it's just going to completely invalidate the entire DVD market.
Yeah, and it gives you more options of how to watch it, because so many devices have apps for it, and as long as you have a paid subscription, you can, some even unpaid, you can watch it on them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some, if it's unpaid, you gotta watch ads, but it's unpaid, that makes sense, the ads.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure how I feel about Google's subscription service. I understand where they're coming from. Essentially, if you get a Google or a YouTube subscription, you can watch everything ad-free.
Wait, what?
Yeah. They're starting a subscription service to where you just subscribe to YouTube for a monthly fee of somewhat. I haven't looked into it completely yet. And everything is ad-free, and I'm not sure how that pays. I know it does, but I'm not quite sure how that pays content creators on the back end. as opposed to the ad paying on the back end. But I'm wondering how, because again, I haven't looked into it deeply, but some people are starting to talk about it, so maybe I'll talk about it more later once I've done some research. But this sounds like a smart thing, but at the same time, I'm not sure how it will work. Like, I get from a technical standpoint how it works, but from a content creator to YouTube standpoint, how it works.
Oh, it's not out yet. I'm going like,
yeah, no,
what are you talking about?
They're talking about it. Like, I've gotten an email about how the Switch is going to happen, but it hasn't been fully implemented yet, so they haven't told you all the details yet. So, because our YouTube page has ads. So again, I'm not sure how this will function. I get where it's coming from, but I'm not from a creator to YouTube standpoint. I'm not sure how it functions. Like, is it just simply if my channel has been approved for ads and I have monetization on the video when a subscribed person watches it? Do I get the finance as if they had watched an ad, or is it like a flat fee? Or
like
a flat payment I get? I'm not sure yet. I haven't researched it yet. I really should.
Offer ad-free videos as well as the ability to store videos offline on your mobile device for a price of about $10 a month. It will also let creators put their videos behind a paywall so only subscribers to the premium version can view them. So basically tiered offerings.
Yeah.
This basically, the reason why this is coming out is Patreon.
Yeah. It makes sense, because a lot of people do that. They either have content that's exclusively on Patreon, or is on Patreon earlier than everything else.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot. There are probably about 4 or 5 creators that I would now say that I would be willing to pay, we'll say $5 a month to be able to see their stuff, like whenever I feel like it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they launch it. Like, what I'm finding is I'm very quickly whittling down the people I watch because so much of the stuff is, like, repetitive. Like, everybody's playing the same thing. Like, with the video game playing community, like the Let's Players and shit, everybody plays the same thing at the same time. New Far Cry's out. Let's all play Far Cry.
Well, yeah, that's a habit they've gotten into.
Yeah, so basically, there's only so many people you can watch play that. So you make a decision. I watch 6 different people who do this every time something new comes out, and so I make a decision, one of those 6 I'm going to watch. Who do I like the best?
There are a couple of games where I have watched multiple people play, but that's more of it depends on the kind of game.
Short games for me. Long stuff, no. I'm not going to watch 5 people play 60 episodes.
Like, if it's more about how the person plays and less about how quickly or how into the story they are. Like I said, it depends on the game or who I've watched the playthrough for.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's like an older game, but I've already watched the playthrough, I might watch someone else's playthrough later down the line. Like, not when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, it's really about the person playing and whether or not I feel like that's the kind of game I want to watch someone like that play. Because really, if it was just about the game, I'd just go watch those people who don't say anything while playing the game.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's like, I love watching, like, Markiplier play through, like, Gmod maps and stuff. Like, he doesn't do that much anymore, but, like...
He's getting a bit back into this.
Yeah.
Yummy Mesh was having, like, some internet issues there for a long time, so...
Mm-hmm. Like, I really enjoy watching people play, like, Gmod maps. Like, I don't know what it is about them, but...
Because depending on what kind of map it is, it's merely a mode or playground, and it's more about how people use it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Minecraft became so big, because it was more about how the people were playing it and less about the game itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's part of the problem with like the survival things. Like the same companies keep doing survival after survival after survival. Like I've seen at least 4 iterations of the same map pack for Yogscast for like, I mean, like, all right, Shin has done no less than 2 agricultural packs, two magic packs, and what was the other? There was like another set where they've redone a similar pack again. Because they had magic cops and time cops. They had Agrian Skies, or not Agrian Skies. Like they had Shin's farm, and then the other one that he did, like
thing now.
And then they had the druid thing, and
that's like obviously that's not for everybody, but that's more for the people who are there for that style of content. And then they are doing a lot more like mixing up together with other people. Like the having a bash style stuff, or the Civ stuff is mixing up more people, or
well, and a big
Go ahead.
I say a big part of like the last couple of months is that Simon has been really sick.
Yeah, he's been in the hospital.
Yeah.
Didn't he get out recently? I think I saw it.
He's out now, but they're like what people don't realize is that they're like a month back in their videos. Like the videos we're seeing now are from last month.
Yeah, because
so it will be.
Yeah, there's such a long, except for certain games, there's usually a bit of a sit-in time before it goes up.
Like they recorded all of their Christmas videos at the end of November, and it was like. So like stuff that would have been topical for whatever reason like doesn't show up in their videos, and you're like, oh, that's usually weird because of such and such.
That's why they try not to talk too much about current event stuff, because it's not gonna make sense. Because depending on when an episode of something goes out, it's long out of people's mind, or it's already been dealt with. I got a message from the Pearls, but it's unclear on what they're doing. You were correct, they were just kind of sleeping all day. But they have arisen and are procuring food things.
Oh, okay.
But she was very unclear about whether or not she was coming over.
Okie dokie.
She usually is unclear in general when she's not actually awake. Most people are.
Good to know. Good to know.
But I suppose we can talk a little bit about Crystal. How did you like Pluto?
She's nice. She's exactly as you expect her to be.
I'm murdering you folks. Oh, Chibiusa's here? Oh, you're with her? Oh, okay, everything's fine now. Like, even though I know who you guys are, I have to do this shit.
It's gonna be fun to watch them animate, S.
Where she, just goes, oh, I don't actually have to be at the door anymore. It's cool now.
I really hope that they get to stars. Just because it would be amusing to see the whole thing done, because they've come so far. Like they got renewed for a second season, so it wouldn't shock me if it continues to do as well as it's been doing, that they get all the way through the entire storyline.
Sorry, it's bug season, so I'm
no problem.
Shit. There's an anime, like many animes that are on my list that I keep meaning to watch. It's or Monogatari or something like that. It's a romance anime with the big goofy guy and the cute little girl.
Oh yeah. Somebody licensed that.
Yeah, I meant to read the manga of it and I didn't. I mean to do a lot of things in life, like most people.
Well, I mean, look at my anime pile and think about like how I never get anything watched because basically I just sit here and go, I should watch that. Well, I don't have any attention span.
Oh, dog is huffing at something. Excuse me, did you link me something?
I did indeed.
Oh my god.
Just because it amuses me.
I hope that's photoshopped, or else that.
I
Well,
don't think it is.
well, I don't know. That looks like a pretty stable harness. Hang on, keep going. Mother-in-law had made popcorn, and he wished to have some of it. That was what he was being all fussy about. He could smell popcorn.
Ah. Excellent.
What was I going to say about? I've already forgotten. I went to the bathroom and forgot what I was going to do.
The patriarchy.
Down with the patriarchy. But, yeah, there's a long list of shit that
Oh, yeah.
I mean to watch. I mean, some of it I'm getting through, and some things I haven't watched yet because I need to watch them with specific people. No, he's barking. And if there's someone in the parking lot, I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's like, I almost dislike starting to watch stuff with other people because, like, once I do, then I don't feel good about continuing on without them.
Yeah.
That's partially why I've been harping on Raid to hang out with me so much, because I want to continue to watch Fashugi Yugi.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if he had blown me off this weekend, I was just gonna be like, or told me he was busy. Basically, I was just gonna be like, well, I'm watching it without you. Forget it. But he said he's still interested in hanging out. He just doesn't know when. I was like, okay, well, I'll be here all weekend, so let me know. So silliness.
Yeah. I mean, hubby and I have a bunch of shows we need to catch up on, but that's just an issue of time. His work schedule was a little hectic for a little while, so.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
All the things with the stuff and the guy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's like a lot of more stuff I'd like to do with you, but that's an issue of getting like fucking servers to work and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid Gary's mod.
Yeah, I know. If only we could figure out what was going wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. So, it's and I have my own personal issues going on because I'm still trying to find the right mixture of meds that don't make every day too much of a trial, and I think I have to try something else again, so I'm behind on things. But yeah. So yeah, I haven't really gotten around to watching a lot of newer animes except for Crystal, because we watch that together when we get our chance to. And that's only what, 20 minutes-ish? Ignoring ads. So that doesn't take up a lot of time. Nor is there much to talk about because it's just Sailor Moon again.
Mm-hmm.
And really it's just an issue of, are they portraying them well? Yeah, then okay. Like I was saying when we were watching the episode, they really seem to have toned down Usagi's jealousy. It's still there, but it's in a more logical manner where even she sees it as illogical, whereas I really just despised her manga counterpart in the R arc because she's ridiculously kind of jealous of a child instead of sensibly. Like, emotions aren't usually sensible, but at least portray them better than that. It made Usagi very unlikable.
Well, they wrote her as being like legitimately jealous that Chibiusa was going to take Mamoru from her, and it's like, this doesn't make any logical sense. Like, yes, she can be jealous that she's getting attention.
Yeah.
But
and I feel like in the Crystal version, they portrayed it a little better.
Yeah.
Like, even she saw it as illogical, and it was more an attention and concern thing, and less of a, she even stated, like, she's a girl too, and it doesn't make sense, but they kind of quickly swept it over, like, her emotions are illogical, she even understands it, so it's not a big issue, and the two of them have actually had a conversation.
Well, considering next week they're gonna launch the bombshell that's their future child, that basically removes, we have her being like legitimately afraid that she's gonna lose, not legitimately afraid, but jealous that she's losing, him to Chibiusa for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping
Uh,
they're gonna tone Busa becomes Black
hang on, you are freezing.
Lady.
So I heard nothing of what you just said. What is going on? I have like super fast internet now, but what's up? Is this a thingy issue? You're still freezing on me. Hang on, I'm gonna close it out and I'll be right back. Hopefully you can hear me.
Well, that was absolutely insane.
There, that's better.
That was me, sorry. I opened a window on Tumblr.
Yeah?
And I don't know what was on the girl's page that I opened. It was like, somebody linked someone who linked someone.
Yeah.
When I opened the cosplayer's page, like, everything froze. Something on that page was trying to load, and it was like, it spiked all of my resources all at once to run whatever it was. I don't know if it was a video or what.
Some auto-loading bullshit that people need to learn not to put on their blogs.
Yeah. Like, normally I don't have that problem. Like, I can open any page with this running and it's no issue. But in that case, it was like, whoa, shit, I'm locking up.
Okay, well, I couldn't hear you to understand what was going on, so I assumed it was my end.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to close it, but, like, literally my computer was freezing every 30 seconds as everything spiked.
Okay. As long as it's a you issue, not a me issue. I mean, as long as it's fixed.
Kiki. It's always you.
No, it's not. It usually is. Unless it's you and Fraps is being a dick.
Well, my problem is I'm using a version of Fraps from like 4 years ago, and it's not really stable.
That is why I love my video card, and the fact that it came with Shadowplay, and that Shadowplay is technically free as long as you have a video card that works with it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, NVIDIA.
Well, I'm planning on getting a new card, but I'm going to probably have to get a new case before I get a new card, because like all the new cards are way wider than the old ones used to be.
Yeah. I'm not quite at needing to upgrade yet. It's gonna be soon.
Yeah.
My motherboard
I'm really
is a bit old.
I'm not really worried about that. Like, and for me, it's more I need a case with more slots.
Yeah.
For storage. The memory's not a big deal. Like, I'm gonna either double or quadruple my memory at some point in the near future. But like, at the time, I thought, 2 hard drive slots will be enough when I bought it. But now I'm like, dude, I could use 4 easy. If only to do one SSD and then 3 hard drives. But that's in the future. I'm not like super worried.
Yeah, well, it's not like I can just go to the store and go give me all the things. That requires money.
But yeah. And now, basically, after reading the reviews of that TV I was looking at, I'm probably going to wait on the TV until the next generation, because basically everyone's saying, don't buy a 4K television. They're not going to be as much money next generation, which is in, like, November.
Well then, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's usually how we do. We buy the lower end or the previous generation stuff because it's still good enough.
Yeah.
Like, we're late, what's the word? Adopters. Because of finances, mostly.
Yeah.
But also because it's usually the smarter route to go. Like, drawing tablets, I'm usually a generation or two behind because then they become cheaper, although their accessories suddenly become more expensive.
Because they're not made as regularly.
Yeah, because they changed the pressure technology, so the new cheap pens don't work with the old technology.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the only issue there, and that's usually how it goes for us. But in all rights, it's kind of more sensible. There's no need for me to be on the edge of the technology. I don't make, I'm not like a movie company or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it like, if I'm going to buy it, because I'm thinking like, okay, so I got more space in my office, and I'm like, if I'm going to build a new entertainment center, and I'm going to buy a big TV, I might as well buy a big TV with the highest resolution I can get. So inevitably, when the next generation of players comes out, I can just be like, okay, fine, hook it up.
Mm-hmm.
Then I start thinking, like, we're still like a good 2 to 5 years out of the new players, so they may not even be using the same technology when it comes out. So, do I even really want to buy a 4K television right now? Or because I don't really, maybe I'd buy a smaller television and then later on buy a bigger one once the technology matures and I know for a fact that it's going to be HDMI or whatever comes after it, kind of thing.
Be sensible about your purchases.
Yeah.
Don't be those people that must have the brand new thing right now.
Yeah. I don't need a 4K television because there's nothing that uses that resolution.
Yeah.
And to be dead honest, the majority of my anime collection is SD because it's almost all DVDs. So really,
that and it's older content.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even really we were talking about this. I haven't been super impressed with a lot of the Blu-ray remasters of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody complains that the Sailor Moon remasters are terrible, and I'm just like,
They don't look that bad to me.
Yeah, well, I'm easy to please too.
Yeah. Well, colors and shit matter to me, but I understand when you're working off of, because it's what were they given, how was it enhanced, and how well can it be enhanced anyway, because it's older stuff. There's only so much shit you can do to it. And some people say it's oversaturated. To me, it looks less saturated than the previous ones.
What I found so interesting was that there was an argument made recently that basically the Viz Media remaster was purposely crippled because the Toei had made plans to make their own remaster in the last year or whatever, and then basically told them, you don't make this really good because we want people in our country to buy ours.
It still looks good enough for me.
Yeah.
It's an older anime. Deal with it. I'd be pissed if a newer anime looked kind of like that and that wasn't the intention, but that's not what we're dealing with. If it's even some of the stuff in the really, if it wasn't made in the late 90s or early 2000s, there's not much benefit you're going to get from an HD remastering unless it's by the original company that has the masters.
That's what happened with Toei's using their own masters to make their Blu-ray transfer.
Even then, even if you do have the masters, if it's super old, it's not going to help much because
let me put it this way.
It already looked like that.
People talk about the cleanup of like really old Disney movies, right? Like, oh my God, the Blu-ray transfer is beautiful. That's because they went and got the original fucking film out of the vault and reshot it with an HD camera.
Yeah, that's making a new master essentially.
Yeah, it's better than a remaster because basically instead of saying I'm gonna take the stock footage I have and remaster it, they're going, I'm going to go back and reshoot the entire film master with a higher definition camera.
And that's why.
Like I don't know exactly how that works.
Well, it's
with film remasters, but like basically instead of shooting the panes like the actual pieces, the cells, they just reshoot the film with a higher, like they photograph the film transfers.
It's essentially how much the camera can interpret what's on the film, because everything is on the film in all rights.
Yeah.
So when you have higher definition cameras, it interprets more depth. It can pick up. There's a greater depth of field for detail that can be picked up, which is why the super high resolution master, or not master, but redoing of Sleeping Beauty exists, because we have cameras that can see and have the aspect ratio to do that for a home viewing process, as opposed to having to only be able to see in the theater. And even then, because the definition of the camera playing it, or the projector, you still lost some detail. Whereas now it's a digital file that's been made of a recapturing of the original film. It preserves the details.
Yeah.
It's still a copy, but it's not like doing a Xerox copy where a copy of a copy of the copy gets shitty. That's not how real copies work.
No. That's how magnetic media copies work, like audio and video cassettes. But
we're not working with that.
Film is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way film is not magnetic, it's photo transition.
That's how you used to be able to make different sizes or different points of camera roll picture films, because you could transfer it. It was a chemical thing onto a piece of paper. Where now we can do that digitally, and it still preserves the same amount. That's different than like copying a VHS to another VHS. They both have shit quality, so you're just making shittier copies. It's a different system.
What really blew my mind was the first time I saw Chrome. I saw Chrome interpolate an old small resolution photo, like like when you used to zoom, you would see the blur out. Chrome automatically interpolates and basically upscales old low resolution photos.
Yeah. Well, unless you saved it in a super shitty format, technically the information's there, it just can't display it. And upscaling just reveals more of the information. So, like, unless it's a shitty JPEG.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like JPEGs that were like 400 by 800.
Yeah. Well, some JPEGs have good information in them still, and some which is why I really don't recommend saving the JPEG in general. But yeah, digital technology being a thing has made it much better to revitalize old things, because technically the information is there. The ability to view it was not.
But it's just impressive to see it done is all. Like, it used to be you get to a certain point and go, oh, I can't blow it up anymore, it's gonna blur out. Now it's like you can go 500% and the thing is still like it's still viewable.
I just really wish TV shows would stop magic zoom-ins.
Oh yeah.
On like cop shows and shit. Some are getting better at it, but sometimes I'm watching a show and I'm like, nope. Nuh-uh. You were working with a shitty black and white, off-market, old-ass cheap camera. You are not zooming in. It does not have that much of a pixel depth for that clear of an image.
That's why I'm always amazed.
Bad.
That's why I'm always amazed when like kids say they're taking photography and they're using like actual old school like physical film cameras. I'm like what? Like okay, it's good to know your roots and shit, but like legitimately, who the fuck? Like regular population, not artistic merit. Like who the fuck uses a physical film canister goddamn fucking camera? Like no one. The vast majority of people, it's all digital. Everything is all digital now.
For ignoring the snobby folks, for any artist in a medium that has multiple variations on how to do it, like photography, sometimes you go old style, either one to learn a technique better to duplicate it in a digital version, or because you're trying to capture a specific look without having to do it digitally later. Because sometimes it just looks better when you do it on the spot as opposed to post-processing.
Oh, like all I'm saying is like these high school kids are being given like Nikon cameras, and I'm like, where the fuck are you even gonna find film?
Well, I mean, if it's a good art program, it's probably also teaching them how to develop them. If not, then yeah, where the fuck?
No, you're not understanding what I'm saying. We've had kids come in and ask us if we sell film.
Yeah. That's the difficult part. That's something you gotta go online for. That's like trying to find typewriter ink.
There's like 3 companies left in the entire country that still sell traditional film. And even less places that develop it. I mean, yeah, they'll teach you how, but like, after a certain point, like...
It's going to become a super dead technology. It technically is, but it has use, because from a medium standpoint, it has merit, either for learning or technique purposes. But it's photography is different than other visual medias because it's so close to video that once the major players aren't using it, it becomes super difficult to find it. Whereas like drawing and whatnot, I can still find any of the items in that area in most art stores. Stores.
Different in that you do not have the ability to create a photo with your bare hands.
Yeah.
Like, I mean a physical photo, not like photorealistic drawings.
Yeah. I mean, I can mimic, like, almost everything possible if I have the finances to buy the programs, the tools, and whatnot, digitally, but there's still a demand for traditionally done things. So it's still on a high-ranking market, therefore it's still easy to get, whereas film technology has greatly moved into the digital age because it's a logistics issue.
Yeah.
Just like audio technology has moved. Vinyls are still a thing, but like...
It's a hipster thing.
Yeah. There is some like legitimacy in vinyl because it's an audio aesthetic. Yeah. But like tapes and whatnot are very outdated because they're not good for the industry. You can mimic how it would sound on a tape deck, but it would still be better to make it digital.
Let's put it this way.
Because most standard computers at least allow you to record a digital file, whether or not it's a good idea, but...
There's something in technology we like to call major steps and minor steps. Major steps stand the test of time, i.e., they're still usable
even after they've long since been replaced by 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 other steps up their chain.
Mm-hmm.
Vinyl is one of those things. Vinyl gets replaced with 8-tracks, which are a minor step, which get replaced with cassettes, which end up being a minor step, which get replaced by CDs, which end up being a major step.
Mm-hmm.
CDs are still usable. Like, yes, their bitrate isn't as good today as it was then due to the way we encode music, but they're still viable, as is vinyl is still viable. Magnetic tape recordings, no.
Yeah.
They're dead. They're not usable. They have too many flaws that were easily replicated by other things. And then CDs, CD audio wave music files get replaced by MP3s, which get replaced by MP4s, which are both minor steps. Like you think they'd be major steps, but they're not because of the way that musical digital encoding works. Basically, you just go to digital format music files, and there are like the idea in total is a major step, but the actual format files are minor steps because they get replicated and replaced so quickly.
Yeah.
Photography, you have basically a whole bunch of I don't know enough about it to talk about the minor steps, but you basically have you have black and white photography, which is a major step. Color photography, which ends up being a major step, and then all the little bits and pieces in between as they improve on the technology, different types of film and the way they develop it, that you get different, color depths and shit. And then you have like the first digital cameras, which are minor steps, and then you get to the CCD SLR cameras, which are a major step.
Mm-hmm.
Where like all of a sudden the technology just made a huge jump, and now they're making incremental upgrades every year, but it's basically they haven't come up with something that's going to be a major step. Who knows?
For cameras, I'm talking partially as not partially, but mostly as not a major in the field, but film has become so outdated, not just from a, I can see my picture on my fucking camera now, so why do I need film to develop it? But from a information standpoint, digital cameras, even at a base level, have the ability to capture so much pixel depth that film is not necessary, because I can create a large-scale detail image from my digital file, so film is passé in that sense and no longer necessary from a major standpoint. Because
when you're CCDI on your phones, like in my case, my phone's got a 16 megapixel CCD. It's the size of my pinky nail. This was unheard of a decade ago. This is commonplace now.
Yeah. Most phone cameras will outdo, will not outdo, but will do for the average photo-taking consumer.
Yeah.
Where digital cameras now are more for the major players, because people just use their fucking smartphone. I do it.
What's happened is that basically pocket cameras, point-and-shoot cameras, i.e. what were considered consumer cameras, have been completely wiped out and have now been replaced by the only thing that people buy in large for standalone cameras are professional-level digital SLRs. The big, the Rebels,
which sadly some people can do on their cameras, because camera phone technology has really gotten up there. I mean, it's more on the expensive end, and often you have to buy an accessory as well, because camera phone lenses are so small.
Yeah.
But that's where the big cameras have the advantage. They have wider lenses.
All about lenses.
Yeah, interchangeable and whatnot. But now you can buy fucking big lens attachments for your phones.
Yeah.
So, photo technology has greatly diminished the concept of film technology. Whereas, I mean, Polaroids kind of came back in, but that was more for people who wanted sort of the simple aesthetic of quick pick, it's in my hand kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But those are always short lived. It always dies out, then comes back, dies out, then comes back.
Yeah. Well, it just doesn't make any logical sense.
Yeah.
When they were selling Polaroids, they're selling them to our generation because really our generation is the last one that got them.
Mm-hmm.
After our generation, it's digital cameras. It is because the people born after our generation were old enough to remember it when it started being digital cameras.
Okay, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was barking at a cat tussle.
Mm.
Becoming mating season and they're having arguments about who gets who.
I feel like the way that we consume media has changed so much in general that we just don't look at physical art, photos, music, movies the same way as we used to.
No.
Like everything has become disposable. Everything is transient. Everything is in the moment.
Technology is moving at such a fast pace that it kind of is.
But I mean, think about when you were a kid and the length between like when a movie finished in the theaters and when it came out on tape.
Yeah.
Now it's like under 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not gonna take the chance that people will forget about the thing they saw and not buy the physical copy or rent it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just how we consume it now. Either because we have so many different ways to consume it, be it in the moment when it's originally out or down the line because it's going to exist somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's like a shitty little art film from some super indie tiny ass company, and even then it likely exists somewhere. You're gonna have access to it somehow, be it legitimate or not, but still.
Well, it's just the idea of like that basically I would say at least 90% of everything that comes out is all digital, and thus the chances that you won't be able to find it in a digital format in 6 months are almost zero for most of the things that people hear or see about.
Which is why it's more common to be upset when you can't find something. Like, Cartoon Network is really annoying about putting things up for legitimate streaming. You either have to watch reruns or go through a pay service.
Yeah.
And even then, it's usually many seasons behind. Or, I know that you can buy, like, per episodes in certain places, but they're very behind on the whole streaming aspect, and that's quite annoying. They've always kind of been like that. And then there was for the longest time getting kids TV shows on DVD was stupid as fuck. Because it was just a random collection of episodes.
Yeah.
I know a lot of kids shows don't have order, but you expect it on when you're buying a DVD.
Mm-hmm.
So, certain certain companies are still playing the
Bad.
game weirdly, but
Mhm.
because they can, because there aren't many other games out there, while at the same time we're seeing growth in more independent industries. Like, YouTube has legitimate shows and series on it, and Netflix has started to make its own content.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon makes its own content now, and lots of other things have realized that you don't need access to a movie studio or TV to get a public. The internet has really connected us, for better or worse, depending on who you talk to. I feel like it's for the better, because I know I'm terrible at consuming content when it originally is put out, but at the same time, I view a wide range of content from multiple countries now, as opposed to when I was younger. If it was from another country, then hopefully I could see it on a certain channel. If not, then
Yeah, it's
my access to news. I mean, I can cater it to what kind of news I want. Add either to my RSS feed or see it from a website in general, but my access to news is much greater than when I was a child. I know a lot about what's happening in the world, and while that makes me kind of neurotic, at the same time, I also, again, know what the fuck is going on in the world. I know about it's really hard, and it's amazing that some people are able to still do, but play the, oh, I didn't know game, because the information's right fucking there. You're just actively not looking at it. As opposed to, well, my newspaper didn't talk about it, or my local news station didn't talk about it, so I don't know about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's there for you to find. Now it's a matter of getting people to want to find it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just look at all the TV that's out there, all the money that my family spends every month on the cable subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know what? My parents watch old reruns. Literally. They're paying $160 a month for cable to watch old reruns of shit from the, I don't even know, it's all reruns. They don't watch anything new. It's all reruns.
Which
I literally looked at my
arguably they
parents.
could watch from a streaming service.
I was like, you guys should just buy the sets for these shows and just cancel the cable. Like, keep the internet, but cancel the cable service.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying hundreds of dollars a month for a service that they're using to watch shit at night while they sleep.
This is the end of part 2. Stay tuned for part 3. This is part 3 and the final track for this episode.
Whereas, except for the few DVR things, some live events, and maybe the local news occasionally if something's going on, I personally don't watch a lot of. I watch TV programs, but either because I DVR'd it or it's on a streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely watch, with the exception of, like I said, local news and game shows, things when they're happening. I dictate what I watch and when, because that's the era we live in. And it still pisses me off that I can't dictate the channels I have access to. I have to try to do best by the packages I can get based on what they're offering. I can't totally customize it to what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons we have cable is because we're currently on a triple package because it was cheaper. We have cable, internet, and a fucking landline because it was cheaper for the year.
Yeah, well, same with us.
And because of it, we were able to upgrade to these awesome ass TiVo boxes. So now I can watch shit I DVR'd in the bathtub.
That's
But I mean, the moms still like watching TV, but most of it is like HGTV and Food Network, which not a lot of that stuff you can do on stream. Some of it you can, but some of it you can't. Those sort of channels I understand. That's mostly what they watch, plus local news. And whenever a new show is on that I DVR and watch hours later. And they watch when it airs. So TV is kind of, especially for you, slightly irrelevant. Because while we're watching the shows, we're not watching it in the way they want us to.
Well, that's what they were talking about. We're breeding a generation of people that don't know how to socialize because there's constant availability of entertainment. People don't have to go out and socialize anymore.
I would argue that socializing is changing, and society is.
Let me change that phrase.
The society
learning how to get a mate is changing because it used to be your buddy learned it from his buddy who learned it from his brother when they were out hanging out. Because there's nothing to do. There were 3 channels that played shit from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. and the radio went from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically your choices were, go hang out at the park, go bowling, go swimming. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to leave the house anymore.
Yeah. Well, the internet has changed how we socialize. We still socialize, it's just different, and the cultural perception hasn't changed yet.
Yeah.
But that's usually how it goes. Society actually changes, but the perception takes a long time to catch up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it has allowed a lot of people to be reclusive, but at the same time, it has given doors to other people who would have been shut-ins in the olden times, because they're able to find communities online.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that for the people who have to go out and interact personally in the meat space with other people,
mm-hmm.
we're breeding a bunch of basically people who don't know how to behave in groups.
Yeah. Well, yes. It's for me at least, it's a mixture of what is acceptable and what people want to be acceptable are changing. / some people are just not socializing properly because they've become bottled where they only properly communicate the realness, arguably, to the internet, and they create this asocial facade in the outside world, lest they be, it's bred unnecessary anxiety for a lot of people. Because, no, what if they learn I'm like this on the internet, even though everybody is fucking like this on the internet? We need to realize that everybody is fucking weird. Get over it. Everybody is a different kind of weird, and yes, some people are extremely weird, but we still have that cultural perception that makes us all reclusive into ourselves. And the internet's helping that, but at the same time it's hindering that because the perception hasn't caught up. You are still considered ultra weird even by people who know you, even though there are massive communities of people like you.
And see, that's the thing. Like, I don't personally feel like I fit like a lot of the tropes that people like label me with as soon as they find out that I watch anime. Because
the perception of that culture hasn't caught up to what actually the culture is.
I mean, it's like,
yeah.
We were talking. I was saying that not the last day, but the day before that, where the girl got up after like we're having a good time. We're 20 minutes into hanging out or whatever at the restaurant, and she says, what do I do for fun? And so I start explaining, and she literally just gets up and says, I don't date people like you, and walks away.
Yeah. Just
And
that
I'm
one
like-
factor of you was somehow the end of it. It's not like you said you rape babies or something. You just
Yeah.
were part of the culture that Western culture has deemed negative. Because it's still portrayed, nerdism in any fashion, or geekism, is often still portrayed as a negative thing. When everybody is kind of geeky anyway. We're getting a bit better at it, but we're still doing the blackface nerd thing on TV.
Yeah. Well, being kind of geeky is now mainstream. Being really nerdy or geeky, still not acceptable.
Yeah. But the kind of geeky they show is not really all that fucking geeky, and most people who are like that are more geeky than that. It's just the level of acceptance. Or if they're slightly geekier than that, they're shown as a, weirdo or terrible person, or they're secretly a murderer.
Ooh.
When no, it's really the people who are trying to harp on the perceptions more that are the bad guys in reality. And again, our perceptions have not caught up with reality, and that's usually the Western, not exclusively, yes, but I live in the Western culture, so that's what I'm talking about. Western culture's issue. When perception finally catches up, we've moved on to something else, and then we romanticize the past to how it was not actually. And we go, oh, why couldn't it be like that? We don't want it to be like that. That was hell. I mean, hopefully, few generations down, when they start to romanticize us, they're going to people standing up going, compared to us right now, that was hell.
Well, it's like when people romanticize the 90s. Like,
it's like,
the 90s are the 90s are the first decade I can remember, okay?
Yeah.
And really, honestly, the 90s were probably the best decade of that entire century. The country was doing well.
Yeah.
And, the bottom hadn't fallen out yet. So, everybody was pretty happy and,
But it was leading us to, the crash and everything.
But then people now talk about it like, with nostalgia like they did the 80s, like in the 2000s, and they're like, oh man, those were the days. And it's like, no, they weren't. The fashion is weird. The music was strange. The video games were okay.
I mean,
but like,
it's one thing to appreciate, like, aesthetic aspects of a past version of a culture. Like, I get, like, admiring the clothing or the styles back then. But when you get into the way the culture functioned and you think of that as some sort of positive, you have to really think that, no, it wasn't. If it was, we'd still be that way.
I mean, just like, anytime somebody tells me, oh, I love the fashion of the 90s, I'm like, you are a weird fuck.
You must really like neon colors.
Neon colors? How about Zubas?
Yeah. Okay.
Neon-colored animal print.
To be fair, I kind of like neon colors, though. The benefit of living
not zebra stripes that are pink and yellow.
Well, maybe not pink and yellow.
That's the whole problem. Zubas went from regular animal colors to random neon colors. It was like, what the shit? Who the hell has
We weren't really thinking about color theory. We were thinking more about getting people to look at us.
Well, it came out of the 80s with the big shoulder pads and the weird haircuts. And the weird haircuts. 80s and 90s are just famous for the weird haircuts. I mean, at least what looks like is going to shape up to be the 2010, 2000 to 2020, like weird haircut, which is the one all the guys are doing where they shave the side of their heads and then have like the long on top. Is at least somewhat okay on some people. Unlike the bowl cut, which everybody was huge into in the mid-90s. Thank God I never did that.
Why did that become a thing?
I don't know. I think like pop stars were doing it or something. I don't know.
The benefit of now is that we have access to so many different generations of fashion that a lot of people are realizing that you can take aesthetic bits from different eras and mold it into your own style in a pleasing manner.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas there's no like heavy set. Okay, in the fashion industry probably, but a lot more people are able to wear a wider variety of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still not quite at men can wear dresses without it hitting the news, but at the same time, we're also at it's sometimes seen as a positive when they do. Like, Jordan Smith
Yes.
has been seen wearing dresses, and it's like, why is he? Because he can.
'Cause
It's a
he
fucking
can.
dress. It's a piece of clothing. It's not like he's walking around on fire.
Or naked.
If he was walking around on fire, I'd be a little concerned. I'm not, because I don't think nudity is ill. I'd only be concerned that he's walking around naked because of the legal issues. But I wouldn't care that he's walking around naked. I wouldn't care if anybody was walking around naked. But the only reason I don't walk around outside naked is because of the legal reason. And because gravity's mean and sometimes it's
I just like
gravity
pants.
is mean.
Sorry.
No. I like to be cold, but on some hot days, it's like, Jesus Christ, I wish I could go to the store with nothing on and not, worry about going to jail or being,
Well, some of us don't.
Because I dared to walk around naked.
Some of us don't live in hell either.
Yeah. You get to walk around without a shirt on. Why can't I?
Actually, here you could.
Some states you can. I don't think California's caught on yet. I think some counties.
Minnesota's got topless nudity is okay, not bottoms though. That's both sexes. There was one state I'm aware where like male nudity was actually not illegal. I was just like, that is fun on a bun.
We're getting better, but we still have issues of like fucking pictures of women breastfeeding. Okay, we still have a long way to go.
I just mean like the concept that male nudity was not illegal. I don't remember where this was. I was reading this and I was just like, what the shit? Yeah. How do you make female nudity illegal but not male nudity?
Because women are sex objects. That's why. That's how our society works.
Yeah, so big flappy dog in the wing is definitely more sexual to me than a woman with no pants on.
But patriarchy, it's the patriarchy.
Let's be honest.
Which is why, there has to be special rooms for women to breastfeed because heaven forbid you see someone's boob.
Yes, that'd be terrible.
That's why girls in schools have such harsher dress codes because heaven forbid they distract the male students. Instead of teaching the male students to stop seeing women as objects.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay that you're attracted, but that doesn't give you rights to them. I have broken my rule and I'm having a bit of chocolate because I have no willpower.
Huzzah.
It's Shark Week, so.
Oh boy.
Hopefully there won't be 3 Shark Weeks this month like there was last month. Don't worry, I'm seeing a gynecologist in a couple of weeks.
Huzzah!
It's probably the antidepressant fucking up with the birth control. I'm going to look into a more I don't have to take a pill every day kind of option because we're not considering children anymore, so. At least not from my loins.
Gotcha.
I'm too unhealthy and we're not going to be financially stable anytime soon. So. And if we are, we'll just adopt or foster care. To me, family isn't blood. Family is emotions and attachment. To me, you're family. Because I care about you. That makes you family.
You all think I think you're people.
That's why Grieve is my sister, and also my daughter somehow, according to her.
Because you mother.
Yeah, she
You
has
mother
a
everybody,
mother.
basically.
Well, Grieve doesn't have a real mother.
Let's put it this way.
She has a woman she was birthed from who pretends to be a mother.
The reality is you're literally the only person we can complain to, because if we complain to anyone else in our lives, they'll literally slap us. I can't tell my parents what I'm feeling, because if I do, I take the chance that I'll spend some time in a mental asylum. Because craziness runs in my family, and I do mean craziness.
Yeah, you told me that.
If I say I'm not feeling good, that I'm not even saying suicidal, just generally not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, better go spend some time with a psychiatrist. Last time I was at a psychiatrist, which was, to be honest, 10 years ago, his exact words was, "Do you ever think you don't get enough sleep? Because you seem sane to me. You just seem like you don't get enough sleep."
Mm-hmm. I get where your parents' concern is coming from, but at the same time, your problems seem, reasonable. Like,
no, not at all. I gotta be perfect.
Yeah.
If I'm not perfect, then I'm broken.
Which
there's no in between.
Yeah.
It's either I'm great or I'm broken. There's no I'm okay. It's just I'm either perfect or I'm broken.
Man, I swear I hit the parental jackpots. I seem to anyway.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my parents, and they are very understanding. But they don't believe it, but there's been a constant pressure on me to perform my entire life.
I understand what you mean. I've seen it with a lot of other parents or people in general. What you think you're doing and what is actually happening to the person are not the same thing. So sometimes parents can be really overbearing, but they don't think they are. So it continues to be a thing, and it's not really something you can talk about it with them because they don't see it that way.
Well, it's like I go to work every day and I think, God, I'm such a massive fuck up. Every day, fucking up. Fuck. Just fucking up. Oh, fucked up again. And then, and then they hand me all these, accolades and awards. They're just like, you're so awesome, you do such a great job. And I'm like, I am a massive fuck up.
No.
How do you not see this?
Because you're not a massive fuck up.
I fucked up no less than 4 times today. Well, you've been giving me these awards. I've been fucking up, and yet you don't see it.
It's because you're human, and your pressure deems unhuman-like realities. Because you were actually a really awesome guy, man. And it is terrible that you're not perceived that way by others. I see that in a lot of people, though. What they are and what they're perceived as is rarely lines up. Because everybody is trying, but it's also often never good enough. And never will be, so just keep on chugging.
Well, I have this whole, kind of dissonance between, how I'm perceived and how I perceive myself are two different beasts altogether. And, I'm actually perceived as competent and have my shit together and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I go to work and I wander around and I talk to people and then I go home and watch anime. That's my life, okay? I don't do anything. They're like, oh my god, you know everything. You have all the answers. When there's a problem, you fix it. I'm like, I'm bored. There was something to do. I've actually, they handed me my employee of the month, and I literally told them, all I do is wander around and talk to people. This is literally what I do 8 hours a day. Wander around and talk to people. How's it going? What's shaking, bacon? Any questions? That's all I do all day. Best employee they have.
Isn't that essentially your job?
Yes, but my argument is, if that's my job, how does that make me, because employee of the month argues that I'm going above and beyond my duty.
Well,
and what I feel like
you are going above and beyond what the other employees are doing. You are the best wanderer around talker of them all.
Yeah, except that the award isn't for that. The award is for doing things that went beyond the Call of Duty, which is like...
Well, at the same time, you also get home and you study for all these tests and shit.
Which I haven't done in a couple weeks because lazy.
Oh,
I feel terrible too, because...
So lazy.
Yeah, literally all I've done is just sit here. Like, I was going to study tonight when I got home. I ended up just sitting here.
Dude.
Maybe tomorrow.
Sometimes you just need a lazy break.
Well, I got another 50-plus hour week next week, so that's going to be fun on a bun.
Fun. Whereas I have only had 2 taxable jobs ever. And they were both very short periods.
I was just tickled pink by the, hey, if you'll work 45 hours a week for the month of May, we'll give you a $500 bonus. Okay. Wait, seriously? Yeah, sure, let's do it. You're the first person to say yes. And I'm like looking at him going, have you looked at my timesheets? I work 43 hours a week right now. What you're saying is, hey, will you work 20 minutes extra a day? No, fuck you.
Oh no, a whole 20 minutes. Now I'll get home.
Oh yeah.
20 minutes later.
And the bonus scales.
Ooh.
So if I end up working 50, then the bonus isn't 500, it's like 750.
Well, hell, you were telling me when I reposted that article that Hubby posted about minimum wage, and you were talking about how yours is $15 an hour. I'm like, you and your stupid, sensible
it's not minimum
wages.
Wage. They have to pay that to attract people, because if they pay anything less, people will take jobs that are less difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, retail pays like $10 an hour.
Dude, that is like hitting the bank.
I mean, because
most places, because if you don't work, someone else will take the job. Will pay you minimum wage part-time, and just have a massive pile of part-time people.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people in California that if you don't do the job, someone fucking else will. So unless you can afford to go to college to get a degree in a field where you need the degree in the first fucking place that is necessary in California, you're kind of fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously. Because there's always some teenager who will take the job long enough for another teenager to take the job.
What always amuses me about my job is the people at the very bottom piss and moan about how little they get paid, because most of them. We have 3 tiers. We have 3 tiers of. Did I have that right? No, I think we actually have 4 now. We have 4 tiers. We have 4 tiers of like what they call pay scales that are not management, that are underneath the manager level pay scales, which are salaried. They have what's called casual part-time, which is you have no set schedule, you work whatever you want to work, but basically you make minimum wage. That's what like most of our stalkers get. Because it's like you want to work, 3 days a week for 4 hours kind of thing. And they have part-time, which is like 50 cents more than minimum wage. And that's like you work, 5 days a week, 4 hours a day or more, but no more than 30 hours a week.
What the fuck is on
Full time. I think it's 8.55 right now. It's gonna be.
I'll look it up.
It's gonna be, I think, 10 this summer, or 9.50 or something.
Yeah, it's changing, but I'm wondering what California's currently. Oh, it's $9 an hour. Okay.
Yeah, yours is generally in the West is generally higher than out here.
Yeah,
but
but
we're catching up.
it costs more to live out here.
Yeah. There's full time, and then there's like full time professional, which is what I'm sitting on. And the only difference between that is like I was getting like full time regular, which was like $9.50 an hour, which I was only doing that for like a month, and then they gave me a full time job, and I jumped up to like 20 an hour.
Well, I don't work. Neither of my mothers work. We are all three apparently though, while technically disabled, not disabled enough between the three of us. And my husband works part-time at Wiener
Yeah.
Schnitzel, which I love everybody there, but it's terrible that it has to run that way.
It is.
Yeah. So this is a double food stamps plus minimum wage household.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, technically my mother is also a property manager now. That's only through nepotism because we know the people who own the place, which is how we got the apartment in the first place for no deposit, because of my father who used to work for him, and so we're like family to them now.
Yeah.
So like that's how we. So it's half off of our rent. Plus, we didn't have to pay deposit. Plus, technically, we can claim rent whenever we feel like it. So
Good deal.
we're in bonus land there, and then my mother works part time under the table for them, helping out around their house because they're too rich to get in-home care for her mother, but they're not.
Oh boy.
They're not like they're both independently wealthy, but it's all in like property. So at the same time, they're not wealthy enough to get private in-home care, and she's not quite at the stage of she needs to be in a home.
Yeah.
So it's more of a under-the-table deal kind of thingy, because it has to be. So that's how we survive.
Huzzah.
Yep. Which is sadly how we have, which is terrible because we were planning on continuing college, but then shit hit the fan, and life had to change. So sadly, there's nothing I can do. There's stuff I'm trying to do, but I have bad days and good days to help my husband be able to go back to school to do what he really wanted to do, which was go into sociology, which, while not a big money game thing, is not how we see life. But that's how America works now. And
yeah.
has.
Well, that's like our last podcast where Grieve was talking about her job. It was just like I was just shocked like how basically mistreated they are. It's just like,
well, America works on a federal, state, county, city level. So there are many good regulations protecting workers, but not enough. We are very much on the side of corporations. So while some are still great, for others it depends on where you live for how great it is. And here, Walmart can almost get away with it. Because you won't go against them because you need the job, or because there's no regulation saying that they have to do this. That's why they have almost nothing but part-time employees, unless you're at a management level, which sadly lots of businesses in the areas function that way.
That's almost every business here. I mean, like the majority of our staff is part-timers. They're like, I think there are only like 8 non-management full-timers in the entire store.
Yeah, but they, make better than what's out here. It costs less to live out here, and Grieve can't get health insurance because California, technically, like a few other states, has the altered Obamacare plan, where they
Yeah.
pseudo-regulated it in themselves, so she somehow makes too much money. But
Yeah.
because she's part-time, Walmart still doesn't have to insure her.
Yeah.
So she is in this weird limbo zone of somehow makes too much money, but not enough for the company to have to insure her.
Yeah. Or to offer her insurance.
Yeah, where I don't make any money and have to worry about in the future if I ever do make money, am I going to lose my insurance?
Yeah.
And luckily hubby makes just barely enough at Wiener Schnitzel that he was able to get insurance.
Yeah, I say, like, that was my problem. Like, I looked at the health insurance that my new job offered. It was actually worse than what I have now. It was the same amount of coverage for more money.
Mm.
It was a lot, too. It was like $1,000 a month.
Mm. Holy fuck.
Yeah. Like, I'm reading it, I'm going like, dude, this is like, it's like a $5,000 deductible. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm paying half as much for a $2,500 deductible with 100% coverage when I hit the deductible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna switch. And I got this, like, independently, just like, when I got too old to be on my parents and, Radio Shack, when I was in, like, frickin', like, beginning of college, and, like, I was part-time, and the Radio Shack wouldn't give me anything, and I had to have, this is before they fixed it where you could be on your parents until you were 26.
Mm-hmm.
This was back when, like, as soon as you hit, like, 18, I think it was. It was some stupid age. It was like, oh, you're an adult now, you can't be on your parents' insurance. It was like...
I forget what it was, but that was a terrible few years.
Yeah.
There was this in-between time where, because there was a time when my husband worked for one of the local Indian casinos, which is actually a dream fucking job, because they will insure your ass.
Yeah.
And I was too old to... It didn't really matter, because my mother was losing the insurance anyway, because she was switching career paths, but she had a government job for a while. She worked in social services, and it was killing her heart, because it's very sad, because you have to essentially teach people to game the system for them to get... We have created this culture where we either have made it so that people never look for help because of the shame, or because we create situations where you have to game the system, otherwise you're fucked. Like, it's not technically gaming the system, it's just making the system work for you. Like, you intentionally only make so much so you can get help. Because if you make too much, you'll be worse.
Yeah.
Because the in-between is actually fucking terrible unless you find a magic company that will insure you.
Mm-hmm.
Or something along the lines like that.
Yep.
So, for a couple of years I was in this... Luckily I hadn't deteriorated to the state I am now. But I was in this weird limbo stage for a little while where I didn't have insurance because I was too old and I wasn't married to a guy who had insurance yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, there was a small amount of time where I had quite a bit of medical debt. Not unlike now, only it's different medical debt. I actually paid off the old medical debt. Well, my parents paid it off. Because it was technically in their name.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was on their credit card. Because I had to make a couple of emergency room visits. I don't understand where the urban myth came of that emergency room visits are somehow free. I don't know where, because I used to hear that, where emergency room visits didn't cost you anything. And it's like, no. They can't deny you from going in unless they're super private, but you can go into debt forever.
Yeah.
Like,
well, what happens a lot of times is in some states, like here, if you're below a certain level, they just don't bother to charge you. Because they just know they're never going to get the money back. Like, if they, like, look at you and go, you're fucking homeless and you need medical care, they give you enough to stabilize you, to put you back on the street, and they call it a day.
But our country has no, preventative care unless you're in certain brackets or have money. That's a real issue. But no, it depends on where you end up here. Like, technically, your emergency room visit, our local hospital got bought out by somebody else, so it might be different now. Eventually, they would just go, okay, you don't make enough money, your debt is absolved, the taxpayers have paid for it. Even though in some states the hospital does get taxpayer money, but you're still in debt. Stupidest fucking thing.
Because they can't get insurance money from you if you don't have insurance.
I'm not sure if that's true now. I don't think it is, but I haven't gotten a you still owe us money thing in a while, so I think it might still be that way. That might just be a YOLO county thing.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. Like, it's all screwy.
Our culture is so much about gaming the system that when JCPenney tried to show you the legitimate prices you would be paying and got rid of, like, clearance and shit and would just always show you what it exactly cost, they lost money because you weren't gaming the system. You weren't falsely gaming the system, that is. Yeah. You were just being told the truth. And people were like, nah, because I don't see a sale. I've been taught to look for the sale.
Yeah. Like, I had a guy ask me today at work, he goes, well, if the sale ends on Saturday, then I'm screwed, right? Like, I won't be able to get this price. And I just, like, looked at him, I looked up at the camera in the ceiling, and I looked back at him and I just went, sir, respectfully, this goes on sale twice a month every month. Just wait 2 weeks. It'll be back on sale again. Mm-hmm. This company puts this product on sale 2 weeks out of every month. I can't guarantee when the next week will be it's on sale, but it happens twice a month.
It's because we let capitalism control our company. Or, not our company, our country. Our country is essentially a company.
There's a sucker.
Yeah, capitalism is in the name, and we need to make the customers feel like they have somehow beat us when really we're beating them. So
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Every anime company right now will list something for a ridiculous price. But the actual price you pay, like when you buy it from, like Rate Stuff or Amazon, is always like $40 to $50 less than their list price. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck do you have a list price that no one prices it at? Oh, this title has a list price of $250, but it's selling for $120. Well, then that's the list price. No, that's the sale price. No, the sale price is when it was at Christmas when it was $50.
Yeah.
No, that's the bargain bin price. The sale price is $120. The list price is $250.
Even though we're never actually selling it for that price.
Yeah.
It's so you think you're gaming us because that's the culture we have, because we've been bred so. So they can nickel and dime us because we think we're getting a sale when we're really not.
Well,
although, legitimately sometimes you're getting a sale because it's last year's stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's not a real sale. It's just to get you in the store. Yeah. They've already marked up the price because they have to make a profit, but usually they mark it up more than necessary, and then the sale is just so you think you're getting a deal because you'll spend money because you've been trained to.
No, exactly.
I mean, I catch myself doing it, but arguably it's how our system works, and if I need the item, then yeah, sure. But...
Well, that's the whole thing. Like the last big sale that Right Stuff had, when they had all their Sentai film work and Section 23 items on sale, I went through and there was only one thing that was actually like a legitimate sale, and that was the High School of the Dead box set that was $50. Mm-hmm. Everything else was either the same or more money than just going to Amazon and buying it. And their prices are usually good, but I'm like looking at these prices and I'm going, really when you say it's on sale, what you're saying is if I have a membership with
the anime lovers membership, whatever that they offer for $12 a month, I'll get an extra 10% off, and a lot of these will actually be cheaper.
Yeah.
But I gotta spend $12 first, which could be worthwhile because like a lot of big name titles, like high end titles, have that 10% off. So stuff like the Cardcaptor Sakura Blu-ray, it's like $212. You would get $21 off because you get 10% off of it.
But technically, they're already getting money from you because you bought the subscription service.
Yeah. So, but you know what I'm saying? Like you come up better than even as soon as you save more than $12. So if you save double that and save $24, you've paid for the subscription. Assuming you were gonna buy the stuff anyway.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying before, that's how we live off of our cable. Is we just go, okay, what's the sale this year? What are we doing this year? Because some years we have a phone, some years we don't have a phone, some years we have this movie package, some years we don't.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the equipment's the biggest scam in the universe. I need to pick up a modem because we're over $10 a month now for the modems.
We don't pay. I don't think we pay a rental fee on the modem. I think we paid like an original deposit fee, and then you can upgrade based on deals thereof. Like we don't actually pay for a change out in the boxes as long as we continue our service, sort of thing.
Yeah. Our TiVo boxes, $18 a piece a month.
Normally where they nickel and dime you is like if you need weird accessories, like if you don't have your own cables and shit. Like if they have to give you
really strange.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's not an issue for us because we have all that kind of shit, but I suppose that's one way to get people because they're not really making you pay for the box, but if you don't have the stuff for the box, that's where they get the money from you. So it makes you feel good that you didn't have to pay for the box.
Well, that's a one-time thing, right?
Yeah.
You're not like renting cables, you're buying the cables from them.
Yeah.
That's not really that bad. So there's a high initial setup, but after that you're not hammered. See, my company charges you a rental fee for every piece of equipment you have. So there's like a good $40 or $50 tied up a month in just rental fees.
Yeah. Technically, okay, so we're paying for renting the box, but it never changes based on the style of box. So we didn't have to pay more for the TiVo box. Yeah. But they scale with us. Yeah, they're still. Well, I think they get away with not having to do that because other than AT&T, they're the only other game in town, and almost nobody fucking uses AT&T because but Kiki, it's so much worse.
Kiki, it's insane. Yeah, these boxes my parents have retail for $400, right? Yeah. They're paying almost $20 a month for these things. They've had them for 10 years.
It'd be different if I was like, yeah, it'd be different if I was like paying to own, but I know I don't own these, but I only
leasing them.
Yeah, I know that it's dumb, but at the same time, it could be worse. So I kind of feel okay with it because they're not. We only have two options, and the less shitty one.
Yeah. Well, it's the same here, but what I'm saying is, it's horrifying. At a certain point, the rental fees should stop. Yeah. I mean, like when you've paid in more than double the cost of the equipment, Jesus fuck. Like I don't care if we have to pay, $7 a month per unit for the TiVo service. That's fine. Like I'm not going to argue that. Yeah.
Service and equipment are two.
I've paid $400 in on this box, so now I don't pay $18, I pay $7 for the TiVo service. Mm-hmm. Okay, fair. But our modem retails for $120. It's $10 a month for the modem. You'll keep the same modem for a decade. You didn't realize that, did you? Like, these modems don't cost anything.
Well, no, because the modem is different because their internet pricing is different than their cable pricing. So I'm pretty sure we're not actually paying for the modem anymore. It's a one-time fee, but we don't own it. Sort of deal. We only have to subscribe the TV boxes.
But how much was your one-time fee?
I don't remember.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
We've been paying $10 a month since 2001.
I mean, I know companies gotta make money, but that seems ridiculous. Like, even if it wasn't a rent-to-own thing, I feel like that should diminish over the years because it's like a loyal customer thing.
There are 20 million people in the Twin Cities. Let's assume 5 million of them have about $20 in equipment a month. Think about how much fucking money just this local branch is making off of just equipment fees. Even if they were losing half of their equipment to, fraudulent subscribers, they're still making a killing.
Holy fuck, yeah. They are.
And you cannot tell me that, well, that's the money we have to take in just to replace the equipment. Because they don't replace this shit. If you call them and say the stuff is broken, they send you old repurposed shit to replace it. They don't send you new stuff.
Mm-hmm. Although there are some companies out there that I'm aware of that make you pay to replace and whatnot.
Well, that's fine. If I'm gonna pay for it, it's mine then.
No, it's part of there used to be there used to be more options in town. I forget what the third one was, but they essentially nickeled and dimed you for every fucking thing. Like,
let me explain to you.
You would have to pay for the box every month, but if it needed to be replaced, you also had to pay for the replacement.
Yeah. The boxes we use, the companies that work with our company.
Yeah.
You cannot buy them. You have to rent them. This is a scam. It's the only thing I can figure out.
Well, that's kind of how they get you, I suppose. Like, I mean, arguably, if your parents, would watch TV in a different way, you could just not go to them with cable, but at the same time, you do, so they go, well then, this is what you're dealing with, because...
Well, and they complain about the price. They're like, well, maybe we should cut the internet out, and that'll reduce our costs, and I'm like, I will kill you for less.
Yeah, you certainly use that more often than they apparently watch TV.
Oh, they watch TV continuously. But our cable bill's over $200 a month.
Oops. I actually have no idea what we're paying right
now. I think we actually got it down now. I think we're like 150-ish, but it was ridiculous there for a while.
I was present in there for the conversation we had about switching to this new deal because that's what we do every year because that's how it works.
Yeah. And
at the time, I knew, and it seemed very sensible at the time, and I know it still does. I just no longer remember the number because it's not necessary for my brain to remember it unless it becomes more or less. Yeah. So I forget certain things. Like if I saw the bill, it's not like the bills are hidden from me. I'm just not part of the equation. Yeah, you don't do the bills. Like I know where they are. I know where the money is. I can look at everything, and if I wanted to, like if I thought something funny was going on, I would. But
you know nothing is so.
I have one of those, relationships where you converse with one another. So he tells me when something's wrong. So I only am concerned when there is a necessary point to be because we've in the relationship because we've been together for so fucking long decided that certain things are on certain other people's laps, but when an issue comes up, we talk together. Mm-hmm. So I pay attention to like the household itself, how the people in it are doing, our consumptions of things, and he pays attention to the financial parts, and all that, and then when there's an issue, we come together. That's how it works. So,
Yeah.
So if somebody randomly on the street walked up and was trying to sell me something, I would have no idea if that was better or worse, but I probably still wouldn't bother listening to them anyway because it's a random schmuck on the street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna suddenly go, yeah, sure, I'll buy that. It's like, no, I gotta go home, discuss it with the other people in the house. I'm not a single individual person. If I was by myself, I would take care of this shit, but I don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's delegated. I know who we buy from. I have a general idea of our plan, but I'm not positive at this moment in time how much it is because I no longer need that knowledge. When it becomes relevant, either I will suddenly know what it is, or I will be retold. Not like I can't go get it. Like I have no idea how much PG&E is. I am just aware that in the warm weather times it is excruciating because we have to run the AC so often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're talking about your energy bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, ours is nasty too.
Mm-hmm. And PG&E finally got it through its head that it needs to stop calling us about plans and offer because this is a rental and there's nothing I can do about the air conditioner. I can't install shit. It's not my place. I just live here.
But what if you could?
If
you could?
If this was a magical dream world where I could financially do whatever I wanted, my home would be very energy efficient while still being logically, sound.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm all for energy efficient, but at the same time I need it to function at a certain rate. So,
I'm not sure what you're actually talking about, but okay, sure.
Some people, it's not like the standard energy efficient stuff, but occasionally you hear about these certain products that are more like ecologically sound, but practically nuts. Like only people who have time in the day to do these sort of things would find these sort of things useful. Like people who use electricity solely from a pipe or something.
Oh, no.
I
Yeah.
get...
How you meant I would never use hydronic heat. That's just silly. And I'm what?
That's fucking sensible. Like,
that's actually great. You probably love that, honestly.
Yeah.
You like having warm floors, right?
Yes. There are a lot of new heating and piping systems that I would love to have, and different ways of getting energy, and generally different appliances and whatnot I would use, and better insulation, better windows and doors, and this place is old, so it has seams and whatnot. Like, I wouldn't live here. My house would be much better. But I don't live in this magical place where I A, have access to the finances to do this, and B, the ability to get it all together to do it. That is a dream. Like, right now, I'm happy I have a roof over my head, that I live with people who love me and who I love back, and that I have access to healthcare and food on the table. I compared to many other people and living in technically heaven, but our world is still shit. Also, we've been talking for 3 hours.
Huzzah!
Thank you once again for listening to this episode of the Super Happy Fun Jabbertron Tea Party podcast with Kiki and Bones. If you took issue with this episode in some way, I, as a tea-powered robot, do not really care. Farewell, my fellow internet beings.
Good night, Bones.
Night, Kiki.